Minutes of questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I also want to focus on the conditions prior to the fire. I actually was in Honolulu on August 8th at Indo-Pacific Command with General Aquilino and on a bipartisan CODAL as we were headed to the Pacific Rim, and it was extraordinarily windy, and everyone was commenting on it, and they didn't have an understanding yet of the extent of the devastation in Lahaina, but officials had been warning about the likelihood of high winds and wildfire risk for a couple of days. So the information we have is that on August 6th, the National Weather Service warned of fire conditions due to severe drought and strong winds. And on August 7th, the National Weather Service issued a red flag warning indicating severe fire risk. So you said HECO was aware of these warnings from the National Weather Service, correct?
That's right.
And so I want to dive in. The protocols did, what exactly were the protocols on the books that that ensured when you received these warnings that action was going to be taken immediately?
Yeah, so the protocols on the books for many years was to disable a setting on our system that automatically recloses a circuit if there's a fault. Meaning that if there's a fault indicated on the line, that it won't re-energize. The breaker will open and then it won't re-energize.
And then how quickly after you received the warning did you act to do that?
I don't know the exact time. I believe the warning, and we can, subject to check, I believe the warning happened overnight, and by the morning that those protocols were put into place. But we can get that for you, those details.
Mr. Sunchin, does HECO have the authority to proactively de-energize its lines in response to weather conditions?
Excuse me, can you repeat that question?
Does HECO have the authority to proactively de-energize the lines when they receive these warnings?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Ms. Kimura, when did HECO first become aware that one of its power lines was down in Lahaina?
We had a number of power lines coming down, and I'm trying to remember when the first one was down, and I can't recall right now. I mean, there was a lot happening from August 7th to August 8th.
Mr. Sunchin, do you know exactly when? When did you receive notice?
I received notice of lines going down, or basically in the afternoon of the 8th, when HECO informed us that they activated their incident management team.
Last year, HECO submitted a plan to the PUC to spend $189 million on grid hardening to make its energy grid more resilient. And last month, DOE announced $95 million. U.S. DOE announced $95 million to Lahaina coming from the bipartisan infrastructure law. Ms. Kimura, can you describe HECO's proposed grid hardening plan and what steps you have already taken to improve your lines prior to the fire, and how you intend to use these federal investments?
So the federal investment that we were informed of, we don't yet have it. We're in discussions on when we will get that or how we will get that. But that is going to help fund our transmission and distribution resilience program. And that is a multi-year program that we have in front of the Public Utilities Commission. We had filed for approval for that program in June of 2022. And that program was a result of years of work, including a lot of work with stakeholders as well. And that program includes addressing critical transmission and distribution infrastructure.
Okay, but you had been working, you said yourself you've been working on this for a number of years. You weren't waiting for these federal dollars, hopefully. What work had been underway already to protect against wildfire risk?
So we had been starting work, or we had been in process on doing work. A utility is always doing hardening work. The proposal was to increase and further the work that we're doing.
Do you have that plan in writing on what had been proposed specifically for Maui and what work had been completed?
We have the work in writing that had been proposed. We also have our wildfire mitigation plan, and we had began implementing that even before the approval of that plan.
Thank you very much. I think the committee would like to see those documents, the plan that had been composed for years ahead of time, and then exactly what work had been taken in advance prior to these devastating fires.
We'd be happy to provide that to you.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you for agreeing to provide that information. And now recognize the chairwoman of the full committee, Ms. McMorris Rogers, for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Mr. Glick, in your